Good morning. Thank you guys so much for taking time out of your schedule today to be here. I appreciate everything that you guys have done for me while I am in this transition. This little guy is 3 weeks old, 4 weeks old on Sunday. So I know that the letter said this orientation was not kid-friendly. I apologize, but he had to come with me. It's so nice to see a lot of the returning faces. And I am looking forward to getting to know all of the new ones. I was the preschool director from 2008 all the way up until 2020. At the end of 2020, when COVID started, I stepped down and Mrs. Mizuchi stepped in. And she has recently found another position somewhere else, and I am back in the game. So I am happy to be back. This is really where my heart and soul is with these little kids. And so I thank you so much for giving me the opportunity to come back and be back with your kids. We have a lot of information to go over. Parent orientation is very daunting. There's a lot of stuff. At any time, if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to ask. If you don't have questions now and you get into your car and you're driving home and you're like, oh wow, I really should have asked that, just call me, send me an email. I'm a little slow to respond. I'm very tired and he is quite needy. So I will get back to you. And I am willing to share my personal cell phone number with you. So if you want to just text, I'm okay with that as well. We're going to start by introducing our staff, and then I'm going to dismiss the staff so they can go down to their classrooms and prepare the rest of their orientation for you guys. Our 5-day 4-year-old teacher, the Turtle class, is Allison Garlow. She is new to us this year. She has 5 of her own children, and I think all of them attended St. Luke's Preschool, so that's really cool. Then we have our 4-day 4-year-old Ladybug teacher. This is Dana Sewell. Her children also attended St. Luke's. Our 4-day 3-year-old teacher for the Owls, we changed that class to the Owls. The 4-day 3-year-old class is Karen Roberts. She has also been with us. Her children also attended St. Luke's. Our 3-day 3-year-old classroom are the Frogs. This is Lindsay Morris. She's new to us this year. And then Jana Turner is our 3-day, this is Mrs. Morgan. Sorry. She's our 3-day 2.5 Busy Bee teacher. So thank you so much for being here, just so I could introduce you. You guys can see their faces. You guys can go ahead and go on down to your classrooms and get the rest of your room together. In your folders that you have, on one side you have some forms, on the other you have your orientation parent handbook. We're going to try to start with the handbook and just kind of go through as quickly as we can. We do have a COVID policy that we have kept in our handbook this year. However, things have really changed. Physical distancing, cohorting, things like that have been removed. Face masks are no longer required for children, nor for the adults that are in the classrooms with your children. If we have an exposure to COVID, if a teacher is exposed to COVID, they will be able to continue working as long as they come in and wear a face mask. They'll be required to test every day up until they test positive. If your child is exposed, we just ask that you keep them home as long as they don't have symptoms. If they are symptom-free for 48 hours, then they are welcome to come back to school. We will not be closing classrooms with a COVID exposure or if somebody tests positive. We will just take it as a case-by-case basis. The teachers, like I said, will be required to come back and wear a face mask, test every day, and as long as your children remain symptom-free, then they can come back to school. If one of their siblings contacts COVID or is a direct exposure, as long as your child does not have symptoms, they can come to school, and they don't need to be wearing a face mask. If they catch COVID, we want them home all the way up until their symptoms are clear. And that's how we're going to deal with that. Any questions about that policy? Just so you understand. And a lot of that stuff that's in there is just basically what the Virginia Department of Education is recommending right now, what the CDC is recommending right now, and we will follow those protocols as things happen. But a lot of that information that is in there is just, like I said, it's from the CDC and from the Virginia Department of Education.
Does that mean you don't have to have a negative test to return?
They've done away with all of that. You don't have to, no testing to return. I just ask that you respect the fact that we have other children here, we have other adults here, we have a staff here. We want to keep our program running. So if your children are sick, keep them home. If your children come to school and all of a sudden they get sick, we will call you and you will come and get them. We will remove them from the classroom. They'll come down in my office. I'll probably put on a face mask just because we don't know what it is that, you know, that they've got. But no, there will be no, I trust the fact that if your kids are sick, keep them home, and when they are symptom-free, they can come back. Yes?
So if they are exposed at school, they have to stay home for 48 hours until they're symptom-free, is that what you said?
They just need to be symptom-free. Yeah. Yeah, and if they come to school and they have symptoms, I'm going to call you. You know, I'm going to take their temperature. You know, we'll do all of that jazz, but, you know, as long as they are symptom-free, you know, this is what the public school systems are following, so this is what we'll follow as well. Yeah, thank you for that. Any other questions about that? Yes?
This changes, which I appreciate. How is contact tracing going to happen? Will we be notified?
You will be notified, yes, on a case-by-case basis. Just the class, not the entire school. Doesn't need to be notified throughout the whole school, just your class. So if somebody does contract COVID, if somebody is a direct exposure and you're going to stay home or whatever, we will email everybody in the class just to let you know that that has happened. And it will be your choice as to whether or not you would like to send your child back to school after somebody has been exposed. Does that make sense? Everybody understand that? Okay. If there's any questions about that, don't hesitate to ask. And again, a lot of this protocol for the COVID stuff in our COVID policy here is just something that the Virginia Department of Education, as well as Department of Social Services, who we are licensed through, just requires us to have posted. All right, so a little bit about St. Luke's Preschool. I know that a lot of you are returning from previous years, but a good bit of you are new. So a lot about St. Luke's Preschool. We started out as a Mother's Morning Out group back in 1995, and it has evolved into what we are now as a preschool program. Our purpose of this program is to provide experiences that meet children's needs and stimulate learning through a developmentally appropriate curriculum that stresses physical, cognitive, emotional, intellectual, creative, and spiritual growth. It is our goal to see that each child is a unique person with different levels of development and ability, and we will provide appropriate activities accordingly. You guys can read through the objectives of what it is that our preschool has in place. Just so you know, down on the bottom of page 5, we do have a governing body that consists of the senior and associate pastors. I have a staff parish representative that I work with very closely, so if anything comes up, I can go to them and have conversation about it. But at any given time, if you guys have questions, if you have concerns, if you have any questions or comments or concerns, suggestions about policies, about decisions that have been made, if you're not happy with them, after having conversation with me, if you're still not happy, we have a governing body that you can go to, that you can voice these concerns to, and hopefully we can all come to some conclusion and get things worked out. But just so you know, we do have that governing body that helps make decisions about non-cooperation, delinquency in payments, and you know, just a whole gamut of things. I meet with them regularly, and we do discuss all of those concerns. You guys can read through teaching staff. You can read through the faith curriculum. Just so you know, we do come to chapel once a month. I'm not sure last year if they were doing it once a month or if they were doing it once a week. I can't remember, but we're only going to be doing it once a month this year. And then as we move along, we'll start going a little bit more. But they come down here to the sanctuary, and our church staff, the senior and associate pastors, myself, the minister of congregational care, they all participate in chapel. So they are very well aware of who the church staff is. That way, when they're walking through the building, they know who these people are. So they'll come down here for a 10-minute time in chapel. They'll do some music. They'll get a Bible story, and that's pretty much the extent of what chapel is. We will do chapel. Each class has a specific day that the teachers will let you know when they do come down to chapel. And after you drop your children off, if it's chapel day and you want to join us, then just drop your child off and just come down to the sanctuary, and we'll meet you down here. And you're more than welcome to join us in chapel. We would love to have you here. Let's see. Faith curriculum. We're not teaching and preaching Methodist doctrine to these children, but what we are trying to teach them are Christian values and morals. So if there's any question about, Bible verses or Bible stories, things like that, it's very generic, if you will. We're not teaching and preaching Methodist doctrine to the children here at St. Luke's. Just so you know, we are regulated and licensed through the Department of Social Services. If you have any questions about that. I don't think I need to go through the programs. You all are very well aware, what class your children are in. My office hours for the next 3 weeks are going to be a little sporadic. I'm on week 3 of maternity leave, so you really don't see me here. But I've got 3 more weeks. I'll be here tomorrow, and then next week I'll be here for the first 2 days of school, Tuesday and Wednesday. And then I'll pick 2 days the next week, and then I'll be back full-time. So I won't be here. Let's see, next week is the first week of school, so I'll be here Tuesday and Wednesday, but won't be here Thursday and Friday. And then starting on the 12th, I'll be back full-time. But again, you can reach me via email, and again, I'm happy to share my personal cell phone with you if you would like it. My hours are Monday through Thursday. I am also the Director of Children's Ministries here at St. Luke's, so I work on Sundays. So Sunday through Thursday is my work schedule. I will not be in the building on Fridays unless there's some type of, circumstance that requires me to be here, or some type of activity or party or something like that. But Fridays, I am not in the building. And again, if you have questions or needs, the staff is very well equipped to answer those questions or to help you with anything that it is that you need. Don't hesitate to ask. Okay, so visitors, we're going to talk about visitors. Our building is open. The only door that is open during the school day is the door that you guys came in, which is the double doors with the covered entryway with the stairs. My office is at the end of that hallway. When you turn to left to come to the sanctuary, my office is just right there on the right. So when you come into the building, you'll be required to come down to my office, and you'll be required to sign in and get a visitor's pass before you go to the classrooms. So when we celebrate all of our parties, when we celebrate all of our birthdays, things like that, we will welcome everybody into the building, but you've got to just make sure you come in, sign in, and get a visitor's pass. Birthday parties and holiday parties are back on. So we will have those, yes. Any questions about visitors? Same thing with people that you bring with you, to those occasions. Just make sure that they come in and get a visitor sticker. We don't need to talk about enrollment. We don't need to talk about admission. We don't need to talk about requirements for admission, refusal. Medical requirements. If you have not submitted your child's Virginia State Health form, don't worry, you have some time. If you need a copy of that Virginia State Health form, I have those, so before you leave today, just grab one. If you're not sure if your child is a returning student, if it's still up to date, if what those dates are, just stop by my office and I have all of that in there. But you are required to have their Virginia State Health form and their immunization records. And depending on when you had those done, we will be sending reminders to let you know that you need to update them. Any questions so far? No? Okay. Let's see. General discipline, behavior, conduct. We really try very hard to set realistic limits for behavior. We try to model appropriate behavior here at St. Luke's. We try to treat your children like people and show respect for their feelings. We are trying to teach them that good behavior is expected, and we praise and we reward and we encourage. There are going to be some things that your children are going to experience when they start school, especially if this is their first time here at preschool. It's a new place, new faces, new boundaries, testing those limits, things like that. So, we really just try very hard to redirect your children when needed. We use a lot of conscious discipline techniques here at St. Luke's. But, the biggest thing is just simply to redirect. If they need to come out of the classroom for whatever reason, just to take a break, the teachers usually will bring them down to my office and we hang out for a little bit and, get ourselves together and then go back to class. Sawyer, yeah, it's going to be fun. But you guys can read through the unacceptable behavior of children. Again, the general discipline measures that we take, we try to redirect, we have some verbal discussion. It's listed here, timeout in the classroom, average 1 minute per year of age, timeout in the hallway, timeout in the office. But, I should have changed that language. Timeout for me is not something that I like to use. They just need to be redirected. And 9 times out of 10, you just redirect them and they can go back to class and they don't have a problem. So there will be no timeouts in the classroom. There will be no timeouts in the hallway. The only timeout that they'll get is if they need to come down to my office and hang out and regroup and then go back. So I apologize, I didn't change that language. And usually, you ask them one time, do you need me to call your mom or your dad or your grandma or your grandpa? No. And then it's over. So that's all it really takes. You guys can read through the behavior of parents and guardians. I don't think I need to speak to you about all of that. There's a list of schedule, the types of classes that we offer. Okay, so let's talk about arrivals. We typically, in years past, have done a drop-off line where you will pull up to the door and the teachers will get the children out of the car. But because our aides are not going to be starting, they're very sporadic. So we've got some that are starting next week. We've got some that are starting the week after. So it's just a little sporadic. So right now, we're not able to accommodate the drop-off line. So what we are asking you to do is to pull into the parking lot and park, and then you are going to have to walk your children into their classroom. If I stand down here at the T intersection so I can see them come into the building when we normally use the drop-off line, I stand at the T intersection so that way I can see them come into the building and then I can see them turn the hallway to go down to their classroom. So eventually, if we have to continue using that, you'll park and you can just come into the building and send your kid on down the hallway because I stand at the T intersection and then we watch them and the teachers will greet them at the door. Once our aides get into position, we will go back to using the drop-off line. So just bear with us for a little bit. The first week or two of school anyway, most parents are coming in and walking their children to their classroom. If it poses a problem for you or for your child, for you to be in the building, like they don't want to go into their classroom because you're actually in the building, please just say something. I have no problem as long as you have no problem. I will take your child kicking and screaming and take them to their classroom. It is okay. I always tell parents at orientation, we have a lot of tears the first week of school, and it's usually not from the children. It's their parents, So if they're kicking and screaming and you need a little bit of help, just let me know. I'm happy to take them and take them to their classroom. If they're still struggling, with 15, 20 minutes into the class, maybe we might give you a call, but we're probably not. If it goes on for 30 minutes or more, then we'll call you and have you come back, but it usually just takes a little bit of time. So for right now, our doors open at 9:20. We'll close them at 9:35. So you just park and walk your child into their classroom. You're not required to sign them in the morning. The only time that you're required to sign is when you pick them up in the afternoon. So you'll come in at 12:30. Your teachers will tell you where the classes line up on the walls. And you'll just line up and there'll be a sign-out sheet on the cart and you'll just sign them out and the teacher will dismiss the student to you. If you have people that are authorized other than mom, dad, it needs to be on the registration form. All of your changes to your registration form need to be done in my office and then I will give the changes to the teachers. If you are sending somebody else to pick up your child, and it's their first time that they've been in the building, please remind them that they need to bring their ID in with them, and the teachers are going to check the IDs with their registration forms to make sure that that name is on the registration form. If that name is not on the registration form, I'm sorry, but we will not dismiss that student. And we'll probably call and see what we can figure out. The easiest thing to do if you know that somebody else is picking up your student, is to just write a note and put it in their folder, their communication folder, and when the teachers are checking their folders in the morning, they can just pull that out and they'll know that somebody else is coming to pick them up. And then they'll double check the registration form. If they're not on there, they'll come to me and then we'll start that whole process. I will make somebody go back out to their car to get their ID, just so we're clear. We won't be dismissing students to people that aren't on registration forms. Okay. Any questions so far? So everybody's pickup time is 12:30. We're not staggering pickup times. Everybody's pickup time is 12:30. So you'll just come into the building and find that line on the wall outside of your child's classroom. Hop in line. If you have something that you need to talk to the teacher about, the morning time is probably not going to be the best time to do that. If you want to send a note in and let them know what it is that you want to talk about, then that's fine. What I have suggested to the teachers and what they will suggest to you is that if you do have something that you need to talk to them about, or if they have something that they need to talk to you about, they will ask you just to wait at the end of the line. And so just so you know, if you have something that you need to address with the teachers, just make sure that you're last in line. I will come down and sit with your student while you guys have conversation. I'm not a big fan of having conversation, especially if it's about behavior or something that happened in the classroom. I'm not a fan of having conversation in front of your children. So I will come down and sit with your children in a different place while you guys have that conversation with your teacher. That way you guys both have your undivided attention. Okay, I ask that you please try to refrain from using your cell phones when you're in the building during drop-off in the morning and pick up in the afternoon. It's just a personal preference for me, and it gives your undivided attention to your child when you're dropping off and picking up. Conferences, holidays, and inclement weather. We follow York County when it comes to inclement weather. So if York County is closed, we are closed. If York County has a 2-hour delay, we're also closed because we're only here for 3 hours anyway. But if they have a 1-hour delay, then we also have a 1-hour delay, with dismissal time still being the same, 12:30. All of the holidays that York County gets out, we follow that schedule as well. So Christmas, spring break, and then there's a couple other holidays in there, Veterans Day. All that. Yeah. And so, that policy is right there. If York County is closed, we are closed. If they're on a 2-hour delay, St. Luke's is not in session. And if they're on a 1-hour delay, we'll do the 1-hour delay, but dismissal will be the same. And that's just so the the teachers who have children have the opportunity to take care of theirs, and then they can get in. So that way we can do our day. Okay, so some of the things that the kids get to do while they're here during the week, they get to go to the library. Each class gets to go to the library once a week. And I know that in the last couple of years, because of COVID and all of that stuff, they weren't able to take books home. We are doing away with all of that, so the children will be able to go to the library. They will be able to have that library experience, and they will be able to check out a book, and they'll be able to take it home. Again, they go once a week, so when they go the next week, if they want to check out a book, they have to return the book that they checked out the previous week. We take them to the library. We have our own system of coding and coloring and taking books out and putting books back. It's a very we would think it's trivial, but it teaches them. It's kind of like the building a foundation for them to go to elementary school and start to learn how to check out books and how to take them off and put them back and what kind of system they use. And so it's a very preschoolish way to teach them about the library. So that experience is fun for them. They do get to go down and have quiet time, and they get to sit and read, and then they get to check out whatever book they want. If your child ruins a book, don't worry about it. We have a lot. We normally ask that you replace the book with the same book or something equal to that book, but we are so blessed that we probably have like 2 and 3 of some of those books. So if the book gets destroyed, if it gets ruined, if it gets misplaced, if you lose it, just let me know, and we'll just take it case by case. Some of the books don't really need to be replaced. We are so blessed and have a library that is just packed full of books, and in some cases, it's not necessary to replace them. Don't make your kid feel bad because the book got ruined. If they don't bring their library book back, they won't be able to check out a new one, but I've told the teachers that if the children don't bring their library book back, let the kid get a book. It's not that big of a deal. Just return the books when you can. Okay, let's see here. They do get to go to the playground every day, as long as it's not super, super hot or super, super cold. So they do get to go to that playground every day. If we can't get out onto the playground, we have two very nice spaces that they're able to use. We have a fellowship hall, which is a little bit smaller, but the big red building that you guys parked next to is the Grove. That is our middle school size gymnasium, and we have all kinds of inside activities and toys that the kids can use if we can't get outside. So when I say we take the children outside at every opportunity that we can, we do that. So if it is hot, make sure they're dressed accordingly. If it is cold, make sure that they're dressed accordingly because we will be using that playground. Children need that outside time. They perform much better in the classroom when they can get outside or they can get that gross motor, whether that's outside or in the Grove. So just plan accordingly. I will talk about the playground rules. They are posted on the doors into the playground, and they are also posted on the brick wall. It's very important. We take a lot of time to teach those children those playground rules while they're here. If you're going to use the playground before school or after school, we encourage that. It's a nice opportunity for you guys to meet one another, to help develop those friendships between the children. If you're going to be using that playground, we ask that you please help enforce those playground rules. So if they're outside and they're climbing up the slide, I ask that you please tell them that we do not go up the slide, we go down the slide. That's how kids get hurt. So I'm just asking you to help enforce those rules. Field trips, we have a lot of, we do on-site field trips and we do off-site field trips. Our on-site field trips you're not required to come to, but we encourage you to come and be a part of everything that we do. So in October, the fire truck and the ambulance will come. The vet comes, I think. Who else comes? The dentist, yeah, they come for dental health week. So anyhow, we do a lot of things on site. They get to go to the food closet. We house the York County Food Closet here, so they get to, during the month of November, we do a food drive, and then they get to go to the food closet, and they learn about helping others in need. So anytime we have an on-site field trip, you will know about it, and we encourage you to come and join us. It's not required for you to be here for our on-site field trips. Our off-site field trips, just for an example, the pumpkin patch in October, we do not put children in our bus or our van to take children to those locations. You will bring your child with you to that location, and our teachers will act as facilitators at those locations. So we try to do, I think we do pumpkin patch in October. I think they did the zoo a couple years ago. The last 2 years they just haven't been able to really do anything. Nobody was taking anybody. But because all of those restrictions are being lifted, then now we're able to start doing those things. So off-site field trips, you'll get all of that information. It'll come home in the communication folder. You'll send stuff back if it's needed, and you will meet us at that location. And if you can't go, that's okay too. So, any questions about that? No? Okay. Birthday parties. We like to celebrate birthdays. They're very special days in the life of your child. And so we will be going back to what we did pre-COVID, where you were invited to come into your child's class and bring some type of something to celebrate with your child and their friends. It's encouraged that you send in, if you're going to bring in goodies, we would really much prefer non-edible treats. Goodie bags with stickers, pencils, things like that. The children really love that. But we do have some allergies in some classrooms, and so it would be important for you to ask your child's teacher what it is that you can and can't bring based on that specific classroom. So it is encouraged, but we encourage you to come in. We'll just, at 12:15, at the end of the day, you come in and we'll sing them a song, give them a little birthday hat, a little certificate, take some pictures, and have a treat. If your child has a birthday in the summer, not fair. So what we'll do is we'll do a half birthday. So you just need to get with your child's teacher and figure out what would be the half birthday for them, and give them the opportunity to celebrate their birthday as well. Lunch. Our students will eat lunch here every day. Some kids come with just a snack because we dismiss at 12:30 and they go home and have lunch and, quiet time and whatever. But we also have some children come with a 5-course meal and can eat it in the time that they are given. So whatever your child can eat at that time, send in. If they don't consume everything that's in their lunchbox, as long as we can reseal it, we'll put it back in their lunchbox and send it back home. But if they open something and we can't close it or, whatever, and it's going to spill, we'll save you and not send that kind of stuff home. We do encourage you to send things in that your child can open and eat on their own. For some of the younger kids, they're just not going to be able to do that. They're going to need help. But for our 4-year-old classrooms, it's going to be important that they are going to be able to open their own things, because when they get to kindergarten, there's a lot of kids in the cafeteria, and they're just not, and if they're not really willing to raise their hand and ask for help, then they just won't eat that day because they can't open anything. And the teachers will help them open their food, and eventually they'll get it on their own. But it's just encouraged that you send things in that they can open and eat on their own. Nothing to be heated. We will not have the time to heat anybody's lunch. Any questions about lunch? No? Okay. We don't need to talk about registration fees. Let's talk about stay and play. Stay and play. We offer stay and play twice a month. It's just an opportunity for your child to stay and play. It is not structured. It is not academically driven. It is very different from what they experience during their school day. So if you would like your child to stay for stay and play, there'll be a sign-up sheet on my bulletin board outside of my office. It goes up. I usually put it up like at the beginning of the month. And then that way you guys can include that payment in your tuition payment. But if you miss it and you make your tuition payment, then you can pay it separately. But that fee is $12 per student, and they can stay and play until 2:30. We provide the snack for them, so you won't have to worry about sending anything extra. And if your child is enrolled in a class where they're here every day, like stay and play is usually on a Tuesday and a Wednesday, or a Wednesday and a Thursday. And if you're in a 4-day class or a 3-day class, you are able to stay for both, if you would like to sign them up for both. So instead of just $12 for one, it would be $24 for both. We don't need to talk about tuition and supply fees, withdrawals and absences. If you guys need to, if you need to withdraw your child for any reason, we do require a 30-day written notice. The contract that you guys signed required you to pay May of 2023's tuition, and that basically covers your 30-day written notice. If you have to pull your student and you've paid your May of 2023 tuition, then you don't have to give me a 30-day written notice. You can just take your child and withdraw them. So if you need to withdraw, we do require a 30-day written notice, and 30 days tuition is expected, which is why I think she had that as May of 2023. You pay May of 2023 tuition. Student tote bags. Everybody has a new tote bag in their classroom waiting for their student. So when you go down to the classroom, if you're a returning family and you have your old tote bags, you don't need to reuse them. You can get a new one. But everybody has one in their cubby in their classroom, so before you leave today, make sure you grab that. That is what is required of the students to bring to school. In that tote bag, we'll put their communication folder, and anything that we need to send home, I need to send home, the teachers need to send home, will be in that communication folder. If there's things that we need you to return back, you will put it back in that folder, and the teachers will check it every day, and they will bring me the stuff that we required you to send back. So that tote bag, that communication folder, you'll get that folder from your child's teacher when you go down after you're done with me here. If you lose that folder, we'll replace it, don't worry. If it gets ruined, we'll replace it, don't worry. The tote bag, however, if it's ruined and it needs to be replaced, there's a $10 fee just to cover a replacement bag. Clothing and personal belongings, please make sure that you label everything that you send into school for your child. The teachers will ask you to send in a Ziploc bag of extra clothes. And so just make sure that all of the clothes are labeled, and then make sure that the bag is labeled. They will keep those clothes in their classroom. Accidents happen, whether it be bathroom-wise or, with whatever medium we're working with that particular day. But send in a change of clothes according to the season. So when you guys come in next week, send them in something that's kind of warm. And then when the weather changes, we will send that stuff home, and we will ask you to send in something that's a little bit warmer for them. If they do have an accident, we will put the soiled clothes into the bag after we take out the ones that you have, change them, and we'll send those home. And then you'll just need to make sure that you remember to send another set in. We do have a lot of extra clothes here, just collected from previous years. So if you forget, it's okay. We have some extra things that we can put on your student. Let's see here. Oh, tennis shoes or some type of other closed-toed shoe is recommended when coming to school. But I will say this, eliminate your battles. If you get up in the morning and your child is not willing to put on those closed-toed shoes, let them put whatever they want on. It's really not that big of a deal. It's just safety, especially out on the playground when they're running. So closed-toed shoes are recommended for the playground and for their school day. We ask that you please only send in essential items for the day. So if your child has a favorite lovey, a favorite blanket, we're going to try to keep those in the bag. And then we're going to eventually try to take those out of the bag and keep them in the car. We just don't want things to get lost. We don't want things to get ruined. And some children, I have a 16-year-old niece who has a BG that looks like a string that she's had since she was a kid. And if that little piece got ruined, she probably would have a heart attack. And so for our little ones, they are very into having those security things. So just please only send in the essentials. We would hate for some of those things to get lost or get ruined. Let's talk about health and safety. My biggest thing, you guys, is that we have to work together to keep everybody safe, to keep everybody healthy. If your child is sick, please don't send them to school. If your child comes to school and they said, "Oh, I threw up this morning," you're probably going to get a phone call. And you're probably going to have to come get them. But just respect the fact that we do have a whole staff here, not just preschool staff. We have a church staff, the preschool staff, and we have a whole group of other children. I know sometimes you wake up and you're like, dang it, you had plans or whatever the case may be, and your child is ill. But just really, really, really respect that. And as long as they have been symptom-free, this says 24 hours, COVID 48. Is that what I said? COVID was 48. We just want them to be symptom-free. And if that takes 24 hours, takes 48 hours, 72 hours, just please keep them home until their symptoms are gone. Which takes me into medicine. We are not allowed to administer any type of medication to your children, with the exception of an EpiPen. The staff is trained on how to use those, but we are not allowed to administer any other type of medication, which includes sunscreen, which also includes bug spray. If your child gets bit by something, we do have, some stuff that we can put on it, but I'm going to call you before I put it on them. We're just not able to administer any type of medicine. So if you want your child to wear sunscreen, especially, for the first couple of months, put it on them before they come to school. If you feel like they need bug spray, spray them before they get here, I guess. But if your child does have an EpiPen, that will need to remain in the child's backpack. And it will need to come to school every day. Now, if you would much prefer the EpiPen to stay here, if you have an extra one, then we will keep it here in their cubby. That's totally up to you. You can make that decision and talk about that with your child's teacher. But that's the only type of medicine that we're allowed to administer. All right, so let's see here. On the other side of your folder, you have some forms that we would like for you to fill out. We put together a directory of the whole school. If you don't want to be in the directory, you don't have to be. If you only want certain information in the directory, then only fill out whatever it is that you would like in the directory. And if that's just your child's name, your first name, and your phone number, then that's fine. Or if it's just your email address, that's fine too. Not everybody wants to participate in that directory. But if you'd like to, just make sure you print this, fill this out legibly so we can make sure everything is correct. And then you can just return that when your child starts school next week. We are always looking for volunteers to be in the building with our kids. We do a lot of things. So if you look at the light green form, that's a parent participation form. Occasionally we do some fundraising. This year we probably won't be doing much of that, but occasionally that we do. We have some other things that we have some preschool stuff that we can sell, but we probably won't do much fundraising, but we're always looking for substitutes, and we're looking for art room facilitators, and we also are looking for, I think that other form is a room parent. So you have the opportunity to be a room parent if you would like. But yeah, we're always looking for volunteers to work the art room, and again, substitutes. Being a substitute is a paid position, so if you're interested in coming in and being a sub, we would love to have you. Just make sure that you mark it on that form. We'll do an orientation for those of you that are interested in subbing, so you kind of get a rundown of how our day goes here. Parent-teacher conferences. Conferences are a valuable tool for the teachers as well as you guys as parents. This year, we will still go through the evaluation process with your student. So the evaluation process is different for a 2-year-old as it is for a 3-year-old as it is for a 4-year-old, and the teachers will evaluate your child based on what class they are in. And in years past, the last week of January, which is like in the public school where they have all of their exams and it's like half days and all that kind of stuff, we typically are closed that week, but it just kind of, to me, seems like a lot. So what we are going to do this year, we will still participate in the evaluation process. The teachers will type up everything. They will give you a packet. And if you have questions about what is in that packet, then you guys can arrange to have some conversation outside of school hours about that information in that packet. But that last week of January, we'll still be in school. As long as it's, if it's a York County student holiday, then we won't be. So like I think that Monday and maybe that Friday, maybe not even that Monday, I think it's just that Friday of that last week, is the only day that week that we'll be out. So that's different from years past, those of you that have been here for years. But you can read through that parent-teacher conference part. The parent-teacher communication folders, I've already mentioned that. Make sure that you're checking that every day. We will send things home. The teachers have put stickers on each side of that folder, keep it home or please return, so you'll know which side is which. I will use that communication folder a lot to send things home, and then you guys can use that as well to send in like your tuition payments. You can use it to send in the notes for your teachers, or if your child is being picked up by somebody else. But we will use those folders, and we do ask that you check them daily. We have a parent-teacher organization that we have been using for the last several years, and it basically is just devoted to furthering the safety and interests of our students. It's kind of like PTA in the public schools. We call it PTO, parent-teacher organization. If you're interested in learning more about that and how you can get involved, just mark it on your, I'm not sure if it's on here. No, it doesn't look like it. But if you're, like I said, if you're interested in being a part of that parent-teacher organization, you just let me know, and we will get you going with that. There's a sample schedule, I think, on the back side of that, if you guys are interested in learning more about what each class does every day. We try to stick to this schedule. But with 2s, 3s, and 4 and 5-year-olds, sometimes that's hard. So some days the kids are going to come in and all they want to do is play on the playground, and that's probably what the teacher will let them do. So we try to stick to this schedule, but it is always tentative and subject to change. So I think I've hit most of the important parts. Does anybody have any questions about anything? Yes?
I have a question about tuition payment.
Okay.
Are we utilizing the app with the auto pay?
The Bright Wheel?
I think so.
Yeah, we will be using Bright Wheel. I'll be sending that information home the first week of school. Orientation is a lot. One more form in that folder that gives you instructions with PIN numbers and letters and all that kind of stuff. We will send all of that information home the first week of school for Bright Wheel, so you'll be able to, for those of you that don't know, Bright Wheel is an online platform that the preschool uses to communicate with you guys. The teachers can take pictures of your students during the day if your child comes in and is having a rough day and all of a sudden they've just had this turnaround and they're having a great time. You can get a picture from your child's teacher. You'll check them in. When we start using the drop-off line, when your child reaches their classroom, the teachers will click on their Brightwell app that your child has made it to their classroom. You'll get that notification on your phone that your child has arrived to the classroom. When you come in to sign them out, you'll stop signing out on the cart, and you'll start punching in your PIN number on the iPad, and then you will also get that notification that your child has been picked up. So if you, as the parent, are not picking up, the nanny is, the grandparent is, whoever it is that's picking up, you will still get that notification on your phone that your child has been picked up from school. It also allows you to make your payments online instead of writing a check, sending in cash, or having to get a money order. So it's a nice platform that we use to communicate and to collect payments and all that kind of stuff. But we'll take care of all that next week. Thank you for asking that. Somebody up here that was your question too about Brightwell.
I just have a question as far as what to expect timing-wise in the pickup line, just for how long is it? A 30-minute process? Is it usually quicker than that?
To get picked up in the afternoon?
Yeah.
Usually it's pretty quick. Like I said, if you have something that you need to discuss with the teacher, get to the back of the line. But for the most part, pickup in the afternoon is pretty quick. Same with drop-off. Yeah, it's pretty quick.
Okay, good. I'm like, how much time do I need to take off work?
I know. The public school is first week of school's been pretty tough. But yeah, no, drop-off pretty quick, and same with pickup. Any other questions? Wow. If you leave this place and you forgot to ask something or you need something, don't hesitate to reach out. If you have forms, if you have payments, you can stop at my office after you do your orientation with the teachers. But I'm going to dismiss you guys if you don't have any other questions. And you just go right on down to your child's classroom. The animals are hanging from the ceiling. So if you're a 5-day 4, you're a turtle. If you're a 4-day 4, you're a ladybug. If you're a 4-day 3, you're an owl. If you're a 3-day 3, you're a frog. And if you're a 3-day 2.5, you're a bee. And so all of that is hanging. And just go right on in. They have a whole separate packet for you. They'll just go through what their expectations are for their specific classrooms. And again, if you have any questions, comments, suggestions, or concerns, please don't hesitate to reach out. Thank you for sharing your children. I am so happy to be back in this position. Like I said, this is what I live and breathe for. So I'm very happy to be working with your kids. I think he's ready. Yeah. All right.